Are you stalking your customers? Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. Today I want to discuss, though, that if you don't recognize this picture, this is Walt Disney. This is from a biography, one of my favorite biographies on Walt Disney, the original by Bob Thomas, called Walt Disney, an American Original. It's a great biography. I know there's a lot of other people that put some of the others in front of this one. This was just an all-around bio from beginning to end. Not super negative, not super positive, but very, and I think it was, this was an official one. And he was actually the person that Walt put in charge of being his biographer before he passed away. So it's a good read, but I'm talking about stalking your customers and it comes with a story that has to do with Walt Disney. Hence, I brought the book out. This was a story that I heard on Mousetalgia, which is a Disney podcast that specifically it tends to focus around the original Disneyland in Anaheim, which I grew up going to and have always enjoyed. And I'm a huge Walt Disney fanatic, so always interested in these type of things. And on this podcast, they were interviewing a lady, and I'm sorry, I do not have her name right here. She was the last official Disneyland ambassador that was assigned to the job by Walt Disney while he was still alive. And so this is the early 60s. I believe it was 62 or 63 when she got the job. Walt Disney died in 66. And there's a specific point in her story, and what the Disneyland ambassador is, just so I give you a little bit of background. Walt Disney tends to always would take things that have to do with Disneyland and make it almost like its own country. So he'd have all these different elements to it, including having an official ambassador. And this ambassador would literally go all around the world promoting Walt Disney, the brand, and the Disneyland specifically. And so this was the interesting point. Here it was toward the end of the guy's life, right? He died in 66. He was running this multi-million dollar company. Okay, they were not just in movies, they were now in parks. They were in the process of building Disney World in Florida. He had a million other projects that never really went fully off the ground, including the original Epcot, which was an actual city that he was going to be building from the bottom up. There's a whole interesting story unto that itself. But he had all these things going. He had very little time for a lot of the things that you think he'd be paying attention to, like all the specifics on the cartoon movies that they were putting out and everything else. He gave very little attention to that toward the final years of his life. But one of the things that he had specific attention on was he had this one ambassador, this one lady who I believe she was 18, 19 years old by the time she became an ambassador. And she traveled all over. After every one of her assignments, she had to debrief him directly. Now, this isn't just an old man with a young girl coming in. She said he was very specific about the questions he would ask. He'd ask, what do they think? So if she would go to Venezuela or wherever, and what do they think of Disneyland? Do they think they'll ever go to Disneyland? Have any of them ever been? What is their overall feelings about it? What is their overall idea of the Disney brand? What's their favorite movie? And he'd have all these questions, and he was very much paying attention to how the brand reacted across the globe and to different parts of the United States as well. And she said he was very serious about the questions he had. So she said after the first time, she paid a lot closer attention to the areas he was talking about because he stalked his customer. And you need to do the same thing. You need to know them so well. You need to be so interested till the very end on who your customer is and what they want and what they appreciate and what they don't appreciate. Not that they're always right. The customer is not always right, but you have to find where they're coming from. Because for you to be able to communicate good value to them, they've got to be able to receive the good value. They have to be able to see what you see as being valuable. And that takes sometimes change in marketing. Sometimes it change in presentation, which is all marketing. If you know what marketing is, it's everything. But it's that communication that you have back and forth with them. But mostly you have to have the ears and the eyes to be able to hear and see what they're all about and find out where they're coming from. Most business owners that I work with lose track of the customer. They lose track of the customer, and they focus so much on their product or so much on a specific new product or the new flashy thing that they're dealing with that they lose sight of the customer, and they don't have anyone at their company that is focused ferociously on the customer. But these are the things that need to happen. Either you need to be on top of it, or you need to have someone hired who's on top of it, and that person has to have the power to make the changes or to recommend the changes that are necessary so that the customer feels that they're being heard. And the one thing you could always say about Disney, even to this day, I mean, there's been periods of time where they haven't done as well at this, but even to this day, they are very, very keen on all the different elements of their customers and what they want and what they don't want. And that you may not always like it because they may not be listening to your side of things, but they do listen, they do pay attention, and you should do the same thing even if your company isn't as big, especially if your company isn't as big. So hopefully that's helpful to you. If you want to know really how to be able to set back and look at where your customer is coming from and do that in a very strategic manner and in a systematic way so that it's ongoing, it's beyond just you, it's just something that gets done, then go check out brianjpombo.com/Amazon. That's the Amazon Proof Strategy Session. That's one of the key elements to be able to make yourself Amazon proof, meaning make yourself completely competition proof against everyone, even if that person or company is Amazon.com. So that's brianjpombo.com/Amazon. That link is in the description, so just go over and click on it. We'll be back here tomorrow night. Hey, you have a great night. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.